Good morning. Thought I'd give you a good view of my hat. I saw the hat and I liked it immediately. It's got some nice embroidery in it. A little bit of raising here. There's a gun across it. It's not really my type of a gun. I mean, I was raised with shotguns, not with M1s or whatever this is, with the box magazine extending underneath it. Of course, that's what we're going to need. We're going to need all that stuff for the militia. Of course, this says gun owners for Trump. I want to make sure you get a good view of that. It is Sunday. I'm going to guess it's the 24th. And that noise you hear is my little rugrat, if you will. She's got a bone in there with her. We're growing together. She's kind of like a child. I named her after my mother. Problem is that I have trouble remembering my mother's middle name because I don't think I ever heard anybody call her by it at all. Never. The hat was a gift from a relative of mine up in New Hampshire when I visited last summer. She had these hats and I saw this and I was immediately taken to it. She told me I could have it as long as I wear it. And I wear it and I get all kinds of weird looks. Now, I do have a complaint about this. And I'll tell you what my complaint is. It's the wrong color. Just like the Republican Party is the wrong color. And the Democratic Party is the wrong color. When you think about it, the Democrats should be the party of reds. Red color. Red communists. And yet here we are, the Republicans, stuck with the damn red. The Republicans should be associated with blue bloods, with the royalty out of Great Britain. But we're stuck. We're stuck with this color red. Now, as far as Trump goes, I see him a bit differently than all y'all do. And I'm not liking what I see. And the problem with you all, us, with y'all, is we're worshiping a man rather than Yahweh. So you got to come to your senses and realize, stop worshiping men. You worship Yahweh, Creator, Father, God. Even Yahshua directs us to the will of his Father, our Father, Yahweh. So the ideal is to live according to Yahweh's will, our Creator Father's will, not Yahshua's will. That's kind of like a secondary thing. It's a little bit like worshiping Mary. You know, okay, she had something to do with it. She said some amazing things. Like she accepted the task when the angel showed up and told her about the baby she was going to have. She said she was blessed. She took it on wholeheartedly. Which reminds me, folks, that yes, we see Disney has been struck a blow and it'll be coming down. For decades, not just years, but decades, you folks are going to be digging through that stuff. That stuff he's been putting in those cartoons that we thought were innocent. And you're going to be digging out the stuff that they've done that they shouldn't have done. So some of you got to make a living out of that. And I mean, I hope you make good money off it. I think that's going to be worth it. It'll help undo some of the magical mystery tour that Disney took us on. Okay, I'm sorry for the noise, but you're just going to have to put up with it. That's basically my child right there, and there's no other place to put her. The cage takes up the bulk of the doggone room for me. Folks, I think having guns is good. I think having a wall could be good. But when I was a little boy, there was a wall put up when I was living in Germany. Yeah, that wall. The Berlin Wall. And it was to keep people in, not to keep people out. And when the Bilderbergers met a few years ago, Alex Jones, who's kind of a mixed bag, double agent, if you will, Alex Jones said that the Bilderbergers had made an announcement among themselves at the meeting, and they said they're going to take America down, take the United States down. It was like they were all meeting together to plan which nation they were going to destroy, who they were going to exploit. And the crowd cheered when they heard they were going after the United States of America. That's your Bilderbergers for you. And AJ, Alex Jones is good for something. That's for sure. Excuse me. What I want you to do is stop worshiping men. I want you to get these Bibles out and open them. And in case you're wondering, they are suitable for your children. But your children are going to need your help with these books. Several books in the Bible. It's a Biblia. The Bible. Biblia. Yeah, I can't. It's too early in the morning for me to speak some foreign language right now. English is bad enough at this hour. I don't want to be up right now. I'd rather be sleeping. But I've already had my dream phase, my dream state. And the dreams are pretty intense, and I have a vague recollection of them. And they were significant, and I wish I could remember them better right now. What you need to understand is there was an announcement made a while ago by Cliff High, and I like what he does. I like the work he does. He doesn't get everything right. His timing seems to shift. I do believe it's kind of like the observer effect, if you will. By telling us of what's coming, there may be an interference in what's coming, which is why I have often spoken out, because I believe when we call them on their shit, when we call them on the bullshit they're about to pull on us, I think they abandon their plans because they know they won't get away with it as fully as what they want. So right now, Cliff High said if we didn't take action, somebody said if we didn't take action by the 19th, it was all over. Well, it's past the 19th. Well past the 19th. And we were told that something was going to happen for a week long that be a tremendous effect. Well, I think we know what that is right now, and a lot of people are coming to bear on this. Gracefully, I can't remember the name of her channel. She's wonderful. She pulls up some real good stuff. She does usually a really good in-depth coverage. I'll have to remember that name. I have to get that out. The other one's BCP, Black Conservative Patriot. You know, BCP, he reads this stuff. Gets kind of awkward at times. I speed him up a little bit, to 1.25. It's more bearable at that point when he's reading stuff. I don't like people reading stuff very much. And if I start reading stuff, I'll put myself to sleep. I'm not going to read to you much. I will read to you from the Bible, and that's it. And I'll do the Apocryphal books and probably the book of Jasher, which I know most of you haven't heard of. The prophet Jasher. That's because there was no prophet Jasher. Jasher means the book of the upright, the way of the upright. And it's written in the same style as the book of Genesis. So it's really endearing. What a good girl. What a good girl. She's got a strong willpower. Oh, my Lord. 30 pounds. And when she decides she's going to do something, she digs all four legs in like you wouldn't believe. She doesn't just use her paws. I mean, she goes down and digs in, and she is strong. I can barely hold on to her. Lorraine, what a good little girl. Yes. Well, like my mother reared me up, she was my first teacher. This little puppy dog is going to rear me up, because to raise her properly and to take care of her, I have to up my game, as one of my friends has told me before. And this one's worth it for sure. So what's the action they're taking and what's being reported? I think even Tucker Carlson reported on this. They're destroying food processing plants around the world and fertilizer plants. Why? Well, so that Bill Gates can be the farmer of last resort. He's the largest farm owner in the United States of America. The guy probably shouldn't even be allowed to be a citizen in this nation. Folks, they're going to starve us. Most of you are aware of that. And we still don't lift a finger. They're bringing in all kinds of incompatible peoples across the border to make life rough for us. And they're going to support them. I mean, some of these illegals, some of these invaders were paid $450,000 cash. What would you do if you had $450,000? These people are living real high on the hog. They don't even know how to spend their money. They're so wealthy. Go to the bank, go to the ATM, get a bunch of cash out. I don't even think they bother to balance the checkbooks. I know I wouldn't if I had that much in it. I'd be spending. It'd be a full-time job. So they are inflating the money supply to take us down. They're destroying the food manufacturing plants. They've destroyed distribution plants. Oh, and they've also come up with another hoax in order to destroy the chickens and the poultry and all that stuff. They've got a false bird flu hoax, and they do it by giving them the PCR test, just like they give us. That gives a weird kind of indication. You get a lot of false positives. And so they're using that as an excuse to go in and destroy people's poultry. So my advice to you folks out in the Netherlands, if you will, in the hinterlands out there is don't let them on your property. Don't let them inspect. Don't allow them on your property. They will destroy your property. They will destroy your poultry. They want to kill us all, and they're going to use food as their weapon. Oh my God, we need our militias so much. Now, you're going to be surprised at what I'm about to tell you, but we don't need our police. And defunding the police isn't a bad idea. It could be a good idea, but you folks need to learn how to think about things. So how does not funding the police work for us? Well, if you read your little book called the Constitution, you'll see that the militia is the only thing, the only political body, if you will, the only body of government that is labeled necessary. The only time in the entire document the word necessary occurs is in the Second Amendment. A well-regulated militia, necessary. The Congress isn't even necessary. And you folks keep turning to D.C. to solve things. I can't get over how people running for offices say they're going to make D.C. take care of the borders. D.C. doesn't need to be involved at all. We should ignore those people. What we need is our militias. When you form your militias, they're well regulated. You've got men in charge. You have men under authority. You don't have men running off half-cocked, independent. You might have some of that, but you got to stop that stuff if it occurs, okay? It has to be disciplined. But I tell you, if we form up our militias and a man wants to be in good standing with a militia, he's going to mind his P's and Q's. He's going to do the right thing. He's going to keep his nose clean. He wants to be in good standing with his buddies in the militia. Very embarrassing not to be in good standing with your buddies and be told, sorry, but you can't deploy. Sorry, but you have to surrender the uniform. You're no longer worthy. Could you imagine that? I mean, that's a real bad psychological blow to a man. So you need to form the militias for psychological purposes alone, to get a man to be disciplined, to get a man to mind his P's and Q's, to get a man to be upright, to become one of the Jashers, one of the upright, the book of the upright. We were called upright for a reason. We had good standing. We had good understanding. No, I haven't used the Navage system this morning. I can't wait to use it. It does clear things out. I don't know what the hell they're spraying us with, but I don't trust them. Do you trust them? They made a major program out of it. In case you're wondering, the same guy, the number one farmer in the United States of America, is overseeing that program of spraying us like we're cockroaches and bugs. And they're spraying us with heavy metals. They're spraying us to tox us up, to downregulate us, to cause diseases, to cause Alzheimer's, to cause dementias, to cause violence, to harm our children. Yes, to harm our children. They're hitting us all with aluminum, strontium, barium, probably manganese, since they spiked our food with that. There's even these metals, small amounts of them in our pots and pans. So even when you cook, you get a little bit of those things. Folks, this has been a long-standing war, a silent, secret war. It's been a war by deception. You got to get used to that. You have to up your game. Now, I'd like to see y'all become Bible owners and Bible readers. You need to give your children Bibles and help them read it. Read those stories. Now, some of it's not very explicit and kind of coded up. And that's a good thing, because I don't think we need to expose our children to the real terror that and some of the bad practices in the past. Matter of fact, I don't even think we want adults exposed to it, because they'll start doing this stuff, maybe even. I mean, you know, in case you're wondering, the Spartans were Israelites. They were from Israel. And the Spartans were known because of their war ethic. They stood together and they fought together. They also had a couple other habits that weren't so good that they inherited probably from Sodom. So they carried that with them. Now, the folks that ended up in Greece were different sorts of Israelites. And there was one group of Israelite that would not fight against their brothers no matter what. I mean, they would pack up and go. And that's exactly what they did. They packed up and left Greece and went to Spain because they didn't want to fight. They wouldn't fight against their brothers. And at this point, y'all don't know who your brothers are. And you've already fought against them way too much. I know it's a mixed up world. I know it's confusing. And I know there's a lot of difficulty. But pray to Yahweh. Pray that things will be revealed to you. Pray for that Holy Spirit. Pray for integrity. Pray that it will guide you. That, to me, is the second part of salvation. Is that, and it has to be worked out, which doesn't mean you have to accomplish anything specific. You have to live the right way. You have to live according to His will. Trust yourselves. Go by your gut feeling. The law is written on your heart. It's etched on your heart. So what the Old Testament says, believe it. It's there. Oh, and these Bibles that you have that have just the New Testaments, they're worthless. 85% of the Bible's missing. Well, the problem is, even in the ones that we have with 66 books in there, we got 14 books missing. So I want to see the Apocrypha included. I know. I've made the request. I've got to remind the fellow I'm working with, hey, get that crew to work again. I want a good Apocrypha. I'm going to be reading the Apocrypha books to you so you won't be so deprived. I've got two versions. One's King James, and the other one is Modern English, which is superior over the King James in this instance. What do you need to know today? You need to know that God loves you. The Creator Father, Yahweh, loves you. He created you for this task. You are totally capable of this task. You will have to up your game. You will have to pull yourself up by your bootstraps. We need our militias. In two states are critical, Arizona and Texas. If we can get the governors and the legislators to create the militia, or to allow us to create the militia, I should say, since we, the people, did the ruling to begin with and we created the militias. If we can get authorization, and if they're willing to defend the militia, because it's going to require defense by some of the best legal minds that we have available are going to have to defend us clear up to the Supreme Court. It will stand in the Supreme Court. We will win in the Supreme Court. If we just get Arizona to launch this thing, it would really go well for us. Why? Arizona's the baby state, number 48. Arizona never had a militia. Texas, I believe, had a militia. But Arizona never had one. Arizona needs one. Do you realize what a big body of men on that border it would be if the militia was authorized and tasked, as the Constitution tasks it, to quell insurrections and repel invasions? Not only that, the militia also was responsible for policing, for policies. They were the enforcers. Sure, we had the sheriff, and the sheriff had his muscle power, his backing, which was the militia. You know, the militia took care of things. We need the militia. We need to trust ourselves. Barack Obama was right. We need an army inside that's as big as the army we have to defend us across the land. Actually, we need, and we will have, a bigger army. And a shout out to the boys in Michigan in particular. Michigan militia was incredible. But unfortunately, the feds targeted them, and you got a lousy governor up there who will impede things. But the Michigan militia was basically, all you got to do is call your deer hunters together. My God, you'll have one of the biggest armies in the world. We need our militia, if for no other reason, just to up our game, just to hang out together and tell stories together, and to make sure that we're there at the calling. I would love to see every Border Patrol agent able to call up 50 or 100 men. Sure, I understand he's federal and all that, but if they're the ones that are in charge and supposed to be running that border, just imagine what a wonderful job and how wonderful life would be as a Border Patrol agent if you were basically a centurion and you had 100 men there helping you out, making sure that your tasks were completed in a dutiful, organized, in a good way. Folks, I'm going to call it right now. Good day. May Yahweh bless.